It's brisk. To move into a sort of a conversation around the data rights and the data problem, and that's a big part of what Hedera is all about. And but we're also going to dive into some other aspects as well. So, Shyam, but before we do so, how about we talk about your journey? Because you spent how many years as a partner at IBM?
22 years.
Okay, so you're one of these guys who left the dark side. No, I'm not going to say that. Tell me a little bit about that journey and why you made the shift now to Hedera and what inspired you to get involved in this space.
My journey is a little bit of a globe.
Guys, if you got conversations, can you take it outside, please? Shh, thank you.
So my journey is a little bit of a globetrotter where I started my career in India, and then I moved to Singapore, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, London, and eventually I landed up in San Francisco during the dot-com boom and did a number of startups. Eventually my startup was in negotiations with IBM for acquisition, and that's how I came into IBM. Now, I came into IBM and I was there for 22 years in different capacity, primarily in different technology, all the way from like SOA, if you remember what that means, to right now blockchain. And recently my last role at IBM was responsible AI partner, driving adoption, accountability, responsibility for organizations. So it's been an interesting journey. What I realized was AI without accountability, without trust, is not as adoptable and scalable, and therefore blockchain and decentralized technology was imperative. And that was the main reason for my shift from IBM organization that I've been for 22 years to Hedera, where I want to drive this new shift towards AI and decentralized trust layer.
But here you are now, and in the COO role at Hedera. Let's break this down then in terms of what we see as the key components. Now, data ownership. Like, this is something that I think goes deeply to the question of how do we get the humanity part of this to work, right? Because at the moment, we're looking at these large LLMs, and they're trained on essentially all of the messy human data of social media, and it's generating a lot of issues about hallucinations, about like whether or not there are abuses of that data, biases, and everything else. How do we solve that problem? What's the core answer to sort of getting some sort of control over the data inputs into these machines?
So AI without data is useless. So data is what powers AI. Second part of it is data is right now everywhere. I mean, everything generates data, everyone creates data, and organizations live on data, and it's kind of become their differentiator as you think about all the way from traditional way of business to current way of business. Google, Facebook, they make their business on data. What we don't realize is the data ownership is so critical, and today we defaulted to the large organizations that store the data as the owner of the data, and we have relegated that ownership to these organizations or entities, or it could be telcos, it could be the search engines, it could be your phone providers. All these different organizations now own these data. Access. When you're dealing with AI that wants to be trusted, transparent, and responsible, you need to have a source of where this data actually came from and who actually owned the data. I mean, this is where you see non-state actors come inject new data into the ecosystem that completely skews the outcome that if you're using AI for decision-making situations. This is true for public AI. This is true for enterprise AI. And now we are starting to see consumer AI growth, which means your data ownership is going to be even more critical, how it's leveraged by the AI for its decision-making process.
Okay, and we're going to have a panel actually after this that's going to dig more deeply into the question of data rights and data ownership, which I think I'm really looking forward to. Now, the provenance piece of this as well, right? So it's not just about who it's coming from and whether or not the rights to that and the permissions that exist, but like, you know, being able to sort of track how it travels through the machine learning and then output and inference process. Where does blockchain come into this?
So look, in my previous role, I was advising organizations on how to set responsible AI for their organizations. Step one was always, it started with the idea of what are you going to try to do with the AI? The regulatory controls explicitly say, okay, it's not the algorithms, it's actually the use case that you're going to apply it. And they've categorized into like unacceptable, acceptable, different, medium risk, high risk, low risk kind of categories. Your ability to first express what the outcome that the AI is going to achieve is where to start with. What happens is that initial concept, from the concept evolution into what data sources are necessary to train to get to that outcome, and then into when you look at the model development itself, right? As you iterate through the evolution of the model, write the prompts, or use different data sets, or create synthetic data sets to compensate, all of these are in the AI model development, but without a right data provenance and model provenance, AI model development provenance, the ability to show what data was used to get to the outcome is a very challenging case. Now, once you are at the point where the AI model is developed and you are able to show development time provenance, which typically a decentralized technology can manage and show complete auditability all the way from concept to the right time of AI model development, eventually it goes into perform runtime model deployment, right? So when inferencing occurs, the ability to say whether did it make that decision at the point of decision, there's contextual information and data, and as well as the data that was used to train to show full auditability of it made the right reasoning and the decisioning from all the different values that was used to do it. So,
and I take it this is going to be, because one of the things that Hedera is standing for. Guys, can you just try to, if you've got a conversation, if you can take it outside, please. Shh, quiet. You're more than happy to chat, but if you want to do it in the hallway, that would be preferable than over there. It's just a bit hard to concentrate with all that noise. Thank you. So, Hedera's got a sort of a membership base that runs deeply into sort of the corporate world, and you've got all these enterprises. How does this conversation relate to that? I mean, obviously, companies, as much as anybody, have to protect their data and know that they can trust the services, the systems, in this case, the models that they're working with. So
Hedera is a little different than the typical layer ones. We are a public but a permission network. What that means is that we are governed by a council of 39 different organizations. Right now we have up to 31 members. And these members are organizations like Google, IBM, you got Mondelez, we got Chainlink, we got universities, University of College of London, London School of Economics, and more, right? And the reason why we have these organizations is to provide that very effective corporate governance for our network in making decisions on how the layer one should be structured, what technology decisions, what token level decisions can be made. Now the next point of it is that Hedera is built on a hash graph algorithm, and the consensus layer is really significantly transactionally the fastest in the market. It does 10,000 transactions per second. That allows you to have these kind of AI decision making, back-end data provenance and auditability and transparency seamless. So the future, what we are looking at is a combination of being able to provide the strength of the enterprise level grade while bringing in the retail and as well as the consumer level operational apps and tools to connect in and bridge the gap. So that's kind of where we are looking at.
All right, listen, I think we are out of time. I do want a couple more questions I want to throw at you, but we'll have to come back to that at some other time. Tokenization and the conversation around identity, which is a key one for GBBC. We'll get back to that, though. There's plenty of chances to talk about this. Thank you so much, Sham.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Okay.